Hello friends, welcome to Devrat Knowledge Villa. You are watching our English video series of operating system and learning basics of OS. Today's our topic is spooling and it is one type of operating system. So let's see what about the spooling. Before today we have discussed two types, that is earlier system and batch operating system. So guys, if you are still remain to watch our earlier video of batch operating system, so please click on I button at top right corner and watch that video first and again come back to here for the better understanding of spooling. So let's see, it is our earlier system. In this case there was a common memory and at that time input was produced by a single job. Now into the batch operating system we have modified the IO system. In place of putting a single job into the input, batch operating system will put multiple jobs in a single batch as an input, same thing into the output. Get it? So right now see here what is the modification. In earlier system and batch operating system there was a common memory, but right now into this spooling there is a separation in main memory and secondary memory. Let's see how this separation is working. First property, that is better memory. It means here we have divided the task of memory. Secondary memory is used for the storage purpose and main memory will use to run or execute the program. For example, suppose you are learning into the classroom. So what you will do to execute your knowledge? Get it? So after learning into the classroom you will go to the laboratory session and into the laboratory you will execute your program or your knowledge. Get it? So same thing is here. Secondary memory is used for the storage purpose. Whatever the process is, jobs or data or information, it is going to be stored inside the secondary memory. And whenever there is need to execute any program, any process, so that data will bring inside the main memory. Let's see how this thing is working in detail. Second property. Before discussing the second property, let's see one more example. Earlier session we have discussed one example of ship. Whenever luggage or any raw material is going to be load or unload inside the ship, so mostly trucks are arriving and from taking raw material truck to the ships and from again for the unload ships to truck. But what sellers are doing, suppose one wholesaler is there, so what that wholesaler will do, is it able to possible to sell the product directly from the truck or from the transport? No. What they are doing, they are making one warehouse. They are storing their entire raw materials inside the warehouse, and whenever customer is arrives, so they are keeping their product from warehouse to showroom. Get it? So there is two approaches, one is warehouse and second one is showroom. Same thing is here, secondary memory and main memory. Data is actually stored inside the secondary memory and it will be executed inside the main memory. Next property, that is no direct interaction between IO and CPU. If you will look about the earlier system like batch operating system, so input output devices are directly communicating with the processor. Get it? But right now IO devices has no interaction with the processor. Input output devices are communicating with the secondary storage. It means whatever the data is produced as an input, that data will go inside the secondary memory, and whenever output is required to bring from the system, so output is going to be bring from the secondary memory. Now let's see what CPU is doing. Whenever CPU is allocated to any process for the execution, or CPU want to execute any process, so CPU will bring that data from the main memory. And from where data is arrived from the main memory? Definitely it is from the secondary memory. Main memory will ask that data from the secondary memory, and after completion of execution, main memory will return the output to the secondary memory. So how this entire sequence is happening, let's see. First from the input section. First part, data is placed as an input inside the secondary memory. Second thing, that data will go inside the main memory for the execution. Third step, whenever CPU is allocated to that data, so at that time that data or process will execute. After completion of execution, again main memory will return the output to the secondary memory, and whenever output is required by the users, so output devices are bringing the output from the secondary memory. That is fifth and last step. Get it? So hope you are understanding the sequence of execution, how execution is going on inside the spooling operating system. Next, improved CPU utilization. Why? Because in earlier system, CPU was in directly interaction with input output devices. It means CPU was wasting the time towards load and unload the data. Right now, whenever some input is loading or some output is unloading, at that time CPU can process other data which was already stored earlier. Get it? So it means we can increase the performance of CPU as compared to batch operating system. Let's see now limitations. So first limitation, earlier spooling was uniprogramming. It means right now whatever we are discussing here, this whole thing about the uniprogramming. It means at a time main memory is executing only a single program or a single process through the CPU. Get it? It means we cannot do the multiple programming here like parallelly till you are watching my video and parallelly you are downloading the song. So this type of task is not going to be carried out. Next, greater waiting and response time. It means whenever one process is in execution or one program is in execution, so remaining next process is waiting about their turn. So that next process or program have to wait till the completion of current ongoing process. So that's why there is a greater waiting and response time. Waiting time means whenever the processes are waiting for the CPU, so this time is known as a waiting time. And whenever that particular process will get their CPU first time, so this thing is known as a response time. Next, CPU remain idle when process in waiting. As we have discussed, due to uniprogramming, whenever process is in waiting state, it means only one process is in execution. But suppose this one process will go for the another resources. Suppose that process does not require CPU and that process require one another resources. So at that time CPU cannot serve to the another process which is in waiting. Get it? After completion of that particular process, then and then CPU can bring the another process. So that's why we can say that CPU remain idle when process in waiting. Get it? So hope you are understanding the limitation of spooling. Let compare the spooling with our earlier batch operating system. So what was happening inside the batch system? So there is input as a batch of jobs. Get it? But right now we are giving input directly to the secondary memory. Limitation was spooling, that was limited memory. So this limitation is overcome here. Here there is a better memory. We have divided it into the two partition. One is main memory and secondary memory. Another thing, direct interaction of input output to the CPU. So here we have reduced the direct interaction of input output devices with the CPU. Input output devices are communicating here with the secondary memory. Another thing, into this spooling there was a poor CPU utilization. Here we are able to improve CPU utilization somehow better than batch operating system. We can't say that there is a best CPU utilization into this spooling, but somehow it is better than batch processing system. Get it? So this thing is all about the spooling. Next, whatever the limitations like uniprogramming, waiting and response time, and CPU utilization, we will overcome this limitation into the our further operating system, and our next operating system will be multi-programming. So stay connected with the Devrat Knowledge Villa till I am bringing the video of multi-programming system. Thank you very much. Thanks for watching Devrat Knowledge Villa.